having some fun, and Nick takes issue. A little friendly fire with the Chiefs' social media.
Yeah, that's true.
They're friends of the show.
That's all right. They listen. Friends tell friends when they screwed up.
Okay, that's fair. But right now, talking about the Cowboys' contracts. According to Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News, maybe CeeDee Lamb's deal gets done sooner than later. Watkins writing, according to one person with knowledge of the front office's thinking, the Cowboys are putting Lamb's contract extension ahead of Dak Prescott's. Nick, we'll start with you. Is this a good idea?
Well, this is not the way teams typically operate. I thought Danny Parkins, when he was on this show, but then did a longer piece on it, was filling in for the Herd the other day, made the point. The Cowboys have 3 contracts up. Their quarterback, their star pass rusher, and their wide receiver. And the point he made that I'll echo, because I think it's a smart one, is recent NFL history tells us only one of those contracts ever doesn't get done, and that's the wide receivers. There's nobody lets a quarterback hit free agency, and nobody trades a guy like Micah Parsons coming off his rookie deal. But a lot of star receivers coming off their rookie deal or wanting to get paid get traded. The Diggs got traded in Minnesota. I know he just got traded again, but I'm talking about years ago in Minnesota. Devontae, Tyreek, A.J. Brown. There's others.
Can I make an argument?
Sure.
Was Minnesota being like, no, JJ's our guy, and Kirk, you can roll?
Well, no, they didn't.
They didn't know
they were getting JJ.
I'm sorry, Justin Jefferson.
No, I understand, but they didn't know that they were getting Justin Jefferson
in the draft.
They didn't know the draft was going to fall that way. No, it was they did not. They knew they were going to get a first-round pick and probably draft a wide receiver, but they needed the Eagles to draft. Was it
Rager?
Rager, good job. Well done, Wild.
Damn,
Jalen Rager, one spot
Nick
there.
Collins is.
So okay, but so no, they knew they were probably going to reset the salary structure at wide receiver. The Chiefs traded Tyreek. The Raiders traded for Devontae. Packers got rid of him. So this is typically not what teams would do. If they have to make a choice, it's like, well, there's a lot of good wide receivers, and we don't want to pay top of the market. I think Dallas is doing this because they know CeeDee's awesome. Micah's going to get paid. And I think they are unsure about whether or not they want to pay Dak.
Jeez.
So they know they want to pay CeeDee. They know they want to keep him. So he jumps Dak in the priority list, which is not unreasonable to me, but it is unconventional.
It is very unconventional, and you prioritize what's most important to you. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys are letting the world know, and CeeDee Lamb know, you are most important. And this is odd because you've mentioned it. Traditionally, across the league, you always take care of your quarterback first, and then everything else, domino effects off of that. However, when you look at this team offensively, we have seen Dak Prescott not show up when they needed him to show up most in the postseason. I truly believe, I'm with you, I believe that they are out. And I'm going to say out on Dak Prescott leading this team to be a contender, to win a Super Bowl. I don't think they believe he can do it. Now, I believe that they understand that they have pieces, and they feel like, okay, if Dak Prescott's going to be a top 10 middle tier quarterback,
8th to 14th in the league,
especially in the postseason, well, we can get a quarterback that can keep us afloat, and that we can drop that salary from Dak Prescott and then continue to keep all these other awesome pieces that you mentioned that they're going to pay. So I don't think it is strange from a traditional standpoint and how the league typically orders the contracts. But for Dallas and the Dallas Cowboys, no, they're prioritizing what's most important, specifically on the offense side of the ball, and that's CeeDee Lamb.
All right, so with that in mind, what model is this? And I joked around about there's the Mahomes model. Awesome quarterback, you don't need to pay everybody, even though Travis is paid, but he's actually probably not getting anywhere.
Tight ends don't get paid,
pass catchers, but tight ends are. Or you got the Purdy model, don't pay the quarterback, pay everybody else. It seems like the Cowboys are trying to split the difference, and if they do let go of Dak, find somebody in that.
If they let go of Dak, they're trying to follow the Purdy model. In the now,
they're gonna get somebody on a rookie deal.
Yeah, that's the only thing to do. Right. I mean, right now they're kind of trying to do what I would say the Lions model is, which is have a quarterback that makes real money. The Lions, you know what I mean, but not the very top of the market. I know Goff just got a new deal, but when they traded for him, Goff wasn't on a rookie deal. He's on a real contract, but it wasn't exorbitant. Just like Dak's prior to this year hadn't been exorbitant. confident. Dak's contract right now. The reason I am so confident the Cowboys aren't extending Dak before this season is because so much of their life would have been easier if they had already done it this offseason. So, I know the cap stuff with Dak is complicated, but you just have to think about it like this. He signed a 4-year, $160 million deal, okay? He is in the last year of it. They have only had, of that $160 million, 65 show up on their salary cap up to this point. So they were already borrowing from future years to have Dak's number cheap, which is why this year it's $55 million. And next year, if he's not on the team, it's $40 million in dead money for him not to be there. That's why they weren't able to participate in free agency. I think it's one of the reasons why CD's not done yet, all those things. So if they were going to give Dak a deal before he played another football game, doing it 3 months ago and being able to add other pieces would have made more sense. The fact that they haven't, to me, Greg, says they're not going to. That they're going to say, you know what? If you go out there and have a great postseason run and we end up having to pay 10% more than you're currently asking for, we'll pay that premium to avoid dealing with the fact that if we pay you now and you have another flame out in the postseason, we are tied to you for the next 3 or 4 years with no escape hatch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out, and particularly for Dak Prescott, because he's a really good quarterback. I just don't believe that he's the quarterback that can get it done in Dallas with all that's weighing and looming over that franchise of them not having been to a conference championship in 25 plus years and all the things. The performance that he had against the Green Bay Packers at home, having not lost a regular season game all season long, I'm not just trying to put it solely on Dak Prescott. But when you look at the frustration that CeeDee Lamb showed on the first possession.
So that, can we stay on
all
that
of
for
those
a second?
things.
Do you, now that we're this far, just real quick before we move on.
I remember that story.
Now that we're this far removed from it, and the Cowboys are prioritizing CeeDee, Dak doesn't have a deal yet, and that was a team that crushed at home.
Yes.
That rolled, and it's not like the game had gotten away from them. There was a Packers. The Packers-Falcons NFC title game, it was like 21-0 before Rodgers had thrown his 5th pass. Like, that game was just over. That wasn't the situation. Why do you think that was sideways immediately? And what could have happened in the interim, in the week between the end of the season and that moment that made it go that sideways? And how does that carry over if CeeDee gets paid and Dak hasn't?
Well, I think there were questions revolving around whether or not this quarterback could get it done. Dak Prescott could get it done in the postseason. And so when the Green Bay Packers decided to go for it on the 4th down, on their first possession, they convert, and then they go down and they score a touchdown. You see the Dallas Cowboys sideline, and it's like, okay, we got to respond. Well, when they took the field, they did not look like a confident group from the onset. And I think when you have a player who's emerging, who's completely budded this year in CeeDee Lamb, and he doesn't get the attention, he doesn't get the targets, he doesn't get featured, and your quarterback is struggling after Series 1, after Series 2, there's going to be a lot brewing there to where you start to kind of point the finger, saying, dude, you've been doing this. This is the time we've expected you to be better, and you're not. And again, I know it sounds like I'm pointing it at Dak Prescott, and maybe I am, because quarterbacks are going to garner all that attention whether you win or lose. But in this particular situation, in the postseason with the Dallas Cowboys, it revolves around the quarterback play. And Dak Prescott has been that guy for the recent years and fallen short. So for me, it started with all that was the pressure that was looming over this group, them wanting to get over the hump, them believing that they had the team to do it this year, not getting out and to kind of punch the Green Bay Packers back in the mouth, like they got punched in the mouth. It was a telltale sign that this is not the guy.
All right, well, let's look forward all the way to next year's playoffs. And what are the Cowboys' chances of making them? Right now, according to Vegas, pretty good. Nick, is there any chance, snowball's chance, that the Cowboys miss the playoffs?
No, they're not going to miss the playoffs. I do not think it is in conflict or contradictory to feel have massive questions about the Cowboys' ability to win a championship while also being fully confident they're going to be in the tournament.
Okay.
This team dominates its division and dominates at home in the regular season. If you do those things, particularly in the NFC, which, while I think better than it was last year, is not the stronger of the two conferences, or the deeper of the two conferences, I should say, you're not going to miss the playoffs. We can show you both. The Cowboys the last 2 years in the division, the best team in the league, highest scoring team in the league, blow everybody out. And we can say, oh, it's tomato cans or whatever. That division didn't get better. I mean, it might have gotten better long term with Jaden Daniels coming there. But the Commanders all of a sudden aren't going to be great. The Giants are still the Giants. And the Eagles, last I saw, they were falling apart. So then what about at home? The Cowboys at home. They are as good as any team in the league, the best actually, in the regular season. And so the NFC this year gets 9 home games, 8 road, because that flips year to year. So what are we talking? Like, they're 6-3. Let's say they have the worst home year they've had in years, and go 6-3. You have road games against the Giants, Washington, and Carolina. You're just baked in at a minimum 9 wins before you have to win 1 tough road game. So, no, I don't think there's any chance they miss the postseason wilds.
Greg, can I pitch you on a 9-8 season?
You don't even have to pitch me.
Lose at the Browns. Lose at home against Lamar. Lose in Pittsburgh. Lose again against the Lions, even though you won the game. Lose at San Francisco again, and then you get the San Francisco hangover effect after getting beat up. You go to Atlanta, you lose that one. You lose to Joe Burrow in your building, and then you split with Philly, you lose there. That's 9-8, and I'm giving you the win over C.J. Stroud that I felt tepid about. So that's my pitch for 9-8.
Yeah, I think there is a chance they miss the postseason because we're basing, and listening to even you, Nick, you're basing a lot of who they have been off of previous years. And moving forward, this is not a roster that has made a lot of moves. Not that they needed to. However, when you're looking at teams around you and you talk about the Washington Commanders, a team in interdivision teams.
That's a good take.
And you say, okay, they're not better. Huh? They're going to be more competitive. The Giants, I'll talk about the Giants. The Giants defensively are going to challenge the Cowboys even more this year than they did last year. Clearly, we know that. The Eagles, I believe that they have a lot of tension there, but they also have a lot of upside because of what we've seen them do. So they're going to compete. I don't think this is just the Dallas Cowboys last year where they're just going to cruise through their division, cruise through the NFC. The NFC North, in my opinion, has the better chance of 3 teams making it into the postseason
I agree with
than any other division. So there is a chance that the Dallas Cowboys miss out.
So here, listen, I want to. You made a good point, so I want to clarify a bit of what I was saying. I do think Washington will be better than it was last year when they had the number 2 pick of the draft. My point, so I shouldn't have said exactly that. My point is Washington's not all of a sudden, in my opinion, a good team. I think Washington is still a team that if you're a good team, you expect to beat even in Washington. The Giants' defense, with the addition of Brian Burns, absolutely should be better. Unfortunately for the offense, they might be starting Drew Lock. I don't know what they're doing. Sorry, they might be starting Drew Lock, but regardless, I think the Giants are positioned to possibly be the worst team in the conference this year, depending on what happens with Bryce Young and Carolina. So go ahead.
Here's one caveat with the Washington Commanders. I'll hand it right back to you. You now have your head coach knows that team down in Dallas.
Oh, I do like that.
He knows the offense. He knows that quarterback. He knows that defense. He is going to have them. If nothing else, Washington, the Commanders will split with the Cowboys.
I like that.
Okay.
That's why I feel like the Cowboys have a chance to miss out. I'm not saying that they are, but if for this topic, they're going to miss out.
For the record,